So the first thing I wanted to talk about, there's a few different photos circulating around the internet of Jeremy Pena and Tyler O'Neill, and they look pretty ridiculous. So the first one, Jeremy Pena, I mean, just looking at it and looking at his overall muscle compared to body fat, I mean, I would say it's one of two things. Number one, I mean, you're on steroids. Number two, you are an absolute genetic freak. You know, the idea that you can have that much muscle while also maintaining. I mean, look at how lean he is in his face. I mean, that is so hard to do. And I know a lot of people pointed out that Jeremy Pena has always kind of been jacked. This is him from last year. So maybe he just has crazy genetics, but like, if you showed me a picture of somebody that looked like that had that amount of muscle with that leanness, without being on something, it's almost impossible to achieve. I mean, it's not technically impossible because he's not lean to the point where it's like, all right, this is like you'd be dead, but still, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And then people on Reddit, of course, are all saying he's, taking something. He's on PEDs. Everyone's saying it. Drug test incoming. Off-season blast cycle. Yeah, that's roids. LMAO. Baseball still has such a rampant problem. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, to me, I'm shocked they actually decided to pop Tatis last year when he was doing that's a young player for your game. It's growing. MLB really needs younger players to help grow it, considering the problem they have with the demographics and young fans really not going to it. And then they bust Tatis, one of the youngest star players. I don't really know, what to make of it. I know some people were saying it's genetics. Again, maybe I would say, that would be the only saving grace. Maybe it is genetics. I'm not saying Jeremy Pena certainly is. He's not the only guy that would be guilty of something like this. I mean, you've got Tyler O'Neill, but still, I would probably have to see another photo of him from a different angle to tell. So it's pretty crazy with the MLB right now and what's going on. I just thought that was a crazy photo of Jeremy Pena. We've also got this. Jacob DeGrom is back on the field. Oh, crap. Ah, geez. Mets Twitter is going to have a field day with this one. So, yeah, you just got to... I guess you really don't have to feel bad for DeGrom because of the contract that he signed. But at this point with Jacob DeGrom, like, everyone is waiting for him to get hurt. And it feels like if Texas gets 130 innings out of him, that would be a win. I mean, that's how bad it's gotten with Jacob DeGrom being injured. I know people have said in the past that maybe instead of throwing 99 to 100 in like the first inning, maybe if he dialed it back to like 95 or 96, he would have, more of a chance of staying healthy. And maybe that's what he plans on doing in Texas. But I don't know, man. I mean, I guess we'll see. Jacob DeGrom, there was already a story of him going to Arizona and not throwing because it was too cold in Arizona, and like he didn't want his muscles to tighten up. I mean, it's just crazy. I guess it was like 50 degrees in Arizona, but still. And then we have this story. A Red Sox employee was suspended for sign stealing rule. Now he works for the Dodgers, and it's just so remarkable to see all of this come out. Dodgers outfielder Mookie Betts, who was on the 2018 Red Sox team, acknowledged he was aware of his team using video live feeds to steal signs. However, Betts said the Red Sox didn't use the sign stealing system in the World Series against the Dodgers. The Red Sox batted .353 with runners in scoring position in the World Series, which they won in 5 games. And then, of course, people are clowning that and saying, oh, yeah, you're going to use the sign stealing technology up until the World Series. But no, you would never use it during the World Series. Let me give you guys my conspiracy theory on the whole Astros situation and all the MLB fans wondering, how is it possible for a team to blatantly cheat and completely tarnish a season and not, like, none of the players got suspended? So this is my theory. I think the MLB knew that every team was cheating. The Astros were the only ones dumb enough to use a system to where the general public would actually be able to depict it, like the trash can system where, if you bang twice, it's a breaking ball or whatever and stuff like that, so the general public could see it. But my guess is this was totally rampant, and like the MLB made a deal with the Astros to where they said, listen, obviously we know everyone is doing this. We're going to give you a really light punishment, but you can't out any of the other teams because it turns into this league-wide scandal, and every MLB team was cheating, or some teams were cheating and some weren't. And it's just like, it's better for the MLB for this entire thing to go away. So to make it go away, they told the Astros, listen, we know you guys are taking the heat right now because you were the only ones dumb enough to use like a trash can so the general public could know. We know everyone's doing it, but in exchange for you guys not going, scorched earth on the league and saying that everyone's doing it and trying to prove it, we will give you guys basically no punishment. I think Alex Cora was suspended for like the shortened 60-game season. I mean, that dude blatantly cheated and they suspended him for 60 games. All those players on the Astros, like if the MLB knew that they were the only ones cheating, those guys, they all should have been suspended a minimum of a season. They completely ruined a season. If they were the only ones cheating, you minimum have to suspend them for a season. The problem is they weren't the only ones cheating. And the MLB knew it, and the Astros knew it. So the fans of all the other teams are like, how is this possible that a team ruins an 162-game season, maybe even more seasons, going back and looking, maybe they cheated during other ones. The reason is because everyone was doing it. And then like Mookie Betts saying that, oh yeah, we cheated, but not during the World Series where they hit 353 with runners in scoring position, which is I guess when they used this system. I mean, it's just an insult to everyone's intelligence at that point. Should the MLB have a salary floor or cap? So these questions are always so hard to argue with people because they're going to have such a bias. Like Yankees fans and Dodgers fans and Red Sox fans are all going to say, no, it should not have a floor or ceiling. And then Guardians fans and fans of smaller market teams like, Tampa Bay are going to say yes. I would say a minimum is we need a floor. You have to at least force these owners to spend a little bit and not just try and run a money-making business, which is what a lot of the smaller, payroll teams are doing right now. I think a floor of like 130 million would be okay. Getting a cap on it is so hard because the players will never accept that. Because there go their massive 10-year, $500 million contracts or whatever Mike Trout has and Aaron Judge got. Those contracts would be toned down if there was an actual cap on it and teams had to allocate resources. I mean, I guess they still do with the tax, the luxury tax and things like that, but it's not anywhere what it would be if there was actually a hard salary cap instilled into the MLB. So I think at least we can come together, even fans of bigger market teams that spend a bunch of money, and say, listen, you should at least have a floor where you make a team spend a certain amount of money to at least show that they're trying to be competitive. I understand that tanking is definitely a strategy, but it's much less of a strategy in the MLB because it takes prospects 4 or 5 years to reach the major leagues. On top of that, now they've instilled a draft lottery in the MLB, which makes it even harder. So tanking really isn't going to be a crazy thing, I would say. And you do need a floor at least. If you can't get a cap, at least put a floor in. And then we've got Shohei Otani's agent coming out saying he's going to test free agency and it's his right to do that. Shohei Otani to the Dodgers just makes way too much sense. With the Angels, it's a wait-and-see approach. Otani brings in so much money for the Angels. That's why they couldn't trade him at last deadline. But this is a thing where, let's say the Angels are 10 games out of first. Otani has said he wants to go to a contender. They're probably not re-signing him. They'll at least trade him at this deadline and get something back, probably at least one top prospect. It's not going to be very much because Otani turns into like a 3-month rental if you do trade him at this deadline. But unless the Angels have this crazy turnaround where Trout plays 150 games and they win the West, or they make the wild card and win 94 or 95 games, Otani is gone. And again, the Dodgers, the way they've been positioning themselves, They've cut payroll a little bit. They're back to like 7th or 8th in the league in terms of overall payroll. They're waiting for that Otani mega deal. They know how much Otani brings in terms of revenue, in terms of eyeballs, all of it. And it would be a very easy move for Otani. He stays on the West Coast. It's a laid-back team. It's a team that invests in winning. They've already got a situation where they're making the playoffs and winning their division basically every year. Otani to the Dodgers. I mean, I'm not saying anything revolutionary here. A lot of people agree that that's where he's probably going if he leaves the Angels, which more than likely looks like it's going to happen. For the Angels, the question again is, are they in a spot to where they should trade Otani, mid-season or at the trade deadline? They would have to be at least, I would say, 9 or 10 games out of the division race for them to do that. I thought they should have traded him at the last deadline, but I'm not someone that really cares about team revenues. I just wanted to see them completely rebuild their farm system, and they kind of missed that window. Again, they could trade him and get something good, but it wouldn't be nearly the return they would have gotten if they would have traded him at the deadline last year, where you're talking about 3 or 4 top 75 prospects and a complete rebuild of your farm system. Also, Mike Trout's contract is going to start to become an issue if he keeps getting injured. Mike Trout is locked in until, I think, age 40, and if he keeps getting injured, his contract is going to be a negative. Like, we all know how unbelievable of a talent Mike Trout is, but it's getting to the point where he's going to have to start playing more and more. And one of the major issues for the Angels is Otani, takes up the DH spot 5 out of the 6 nights, when really Mike Trout, if you want to keep him healthy, he should probably be DHing, 2 times a week at this point in his career, ideally, but he can't, because Otani is DHing because he also has to pitch. So the Angels have a few different problems. We'll see what ends up happening with them, but I do think Otani to the Dodgers as a free agent next offseason is just so trending. Just the way the Dodgers are setting up their payroll, letting Cody Bellinger go, saving money, I think that's the situation that's going to happen. We'll see what happens, though, guys. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.